Our study shows that the underlying cause of majority of chronic diseases that develop over years or even decades, is the long-term deficiency of micronutrients, vitamins, trace elements, some amino acids, or other active components which cause dysfunction, cellular dysfunction, that with time turns into a diseased organ and in disease.
Generally, micronutrients comprise vitamins, minerals, trace elements, certain amino acids, phytochemicals or phytobiologicals, as we call them, extracts from plants, small molecules that have a distinct metabolic role in the cells of the body. We are not looking at individual types of cancer, but we are looking at the key mechanism that unites them all. Under normal circumstances, this mechanism is tightly controlled. Cancer cells use exactly that mechanism, exactly the same group of enzymes to make their way through the body, to migrate through the body. First in their environment, we call this invasion, so the tumor grows and spreads, let's say, within the organ of the liver, and then ultimately to migrate into other organs, and we call that step metastasis. In each case, it's the same type of enzyme that paves the way of the cancer cell or cancer cells to migrate. It's probably like an expeditionary corps in the jungle with a machete. They pave their way through the jungle. And what we found out is that we can block these collagen digesting enzymes. And we understand today the key micronutrients that are able to do that. Not chemotherapy, natural substances that are able to block cancer cells from doing harm to the body.
What are these nutrients that have the synergistic effect, like the orchestra? What are the components of this?
Yes, this is vitamin C for simple reasons, since we are targeting the stability and integrity of connective tissue. Without vitamin C, connective tissue cannot be produced. The other compound of this synergy, very powerful component, is amino acid lysine. Lysine is an inhibitor of those collagen digestive enzymes, but also lysine is a component of collagen. 1/3 of amino acids in collagen are lysine and proline. So it is important that they are included. And lysine, similarly to vitamin C, is not produced in our body. It only comes from the diet. We are also having other components like N-acetylcysteine. We are having trace elements, including copper, selenium. And we are having the active component from green tea called epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG for short, and quercetin. So this is the mixture of several components. You can find the information on our website. And this is what we tested them. We tested individual compounds, and also we combined them in the synergy. So there are components acting on different mechanisms in our body, including what we see. They also have an anti-inflammatory effect. And what we know from one side, inflammation is associated with cancer, and also long-lasting inflammation is the triggering factor for developing cancer. And these micronutrients are also effective in addressing this important aspect. So this is this pleiotropic effect of micronutrient synergy.
Back in episode 1, we had a little history lesson about why doctors don't know and why they don't believe in natural treatments.
Tai, if we are not learning from history, and I'm quoting a philosopher, we are sentenced to relive it again. And I wasn't born as a historian. I was a scientist, a doctor. And after publishing this initial new concepts on cancer and heart disease with Linus Pauling, I felt the world will embrace us. They will say, this is great. Fact is, we were being fought for every single advance in natural health. There were more than 100 lawsuits that the status quo, the pharmaceutical lobby, has been bringing against myself, Dr. Nitzwicki, our research, over the past 15 years. More than 100 times we were dragged into the courtrooms for one goal. These interests did not want us to talk today, or for that matter, to inform you what we have found out about the most common diseases can be greatly reduced, maybe eventually largely eliminated with the knowledge we have today. The fact that we are doing this interview now shows they didn't succeed. And the main reason why we succeeded, actually summarizing it in one word, was science.
These interests did not want us to have this conversation, but we did. And yes, Dr. Rath's protocol has mountains of scientific evidence to support it. Another scientist that has been persecuted by these same interests for using outside-the-box type treatments is Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski out of Houston, Texas. He uses a treatment that's called antineoplastons. Now, antineoplastons are basically like a missing link between proteins and amino acids. And he realized that cancer patients are typically deficient in these certain types of antineoplastons. There are children with brain tumors that are untreatable by any conventional methods. Dr. Brzezinski's antineoplaston treatment has proven to cure these types of tumors that are untreatable. But because of the onerous FDA regulations, he's not able to treat them. Case in point, here's one of Dr. Brzezinski's patients that was diagnosed with colon cancer 8 years ago. He went to Herman Memorial in Houston and also MD Anderson in Houston, and both of those hospitals and all the physicians there told him that his only option was surgery. But then he learned about the Brzezinski Clinic.
I have relatives here, not in Houston, and everybody was saying, what are you waiting for? Go for surgery. Go get your surgery, and then you can talk about the Brzezinski Clinic later on. But you know what? I was a little bit stubborn. I said, you know what? I'm going with him. If that's where it's going to end, that's where it's going to end. But I'm not going to do surgery. I'm not going to do radiation and all that stuff. So I called them up. So I came on down here, and they said, okay, and they took me through what they're going to do, their treatment protocol, and they laid it out for me, and they said they have to do a blood work and map my genes, I don't remember well, map my genes and then see what kind of treatment would be best for me, which is, and I really like that, you know.
Individualized treatment.
Individualized, that's really one other thing that made me say, this guy is different. So after 3 months, I went for a checkup, another PET scan checkup. That was on a Friday. And the result came back, the tumor was gone. Can you believe it?
Tumor was gone.
Tumor was gone. What I liked about the clinic was when I came here, it had a full-time dietitian that I had to see, that guided me as to what to eat to help me with my treatment. And I came to realize later that nutrition is a key component of your treatment. You get the food that Mother Nature gave you, and your body can take care of itself. That, I believe that 100%.
I do too.
I don't care what it is. You got to eat, baby. You got to eat.
It's great to hear the rest of Chris's testimonial, and I have to agree with him. Nutrition is the key. As a matter of fact, food can be epigenetic. Let's listen to some more of our experts discuss that topic.
I always tell my patients to eat the rainbow because every pigment in fruits and vegetables actually enters the nucleus of the cell and interacts with your genes, which is why it matters what you eat, right? So if you just eat the rainbow and half your plate is colorful fruits and vegetables, blueberries, spinach, kale, carrots, tomatoes, persimmons, pomegranates. If you eat color, you're going to also get these phytochemicals. Also, you have a medicine chest in your spice rack in your kitchen. Oregano, thyme, ginger, turmeric. All of the culinary spices not only aid your digestion, but they also have these powerful chemicals. Carnosol is found in rosemary, for example, a very powerful anti-cancer chemical. So we can easily make our diets talk to our genes. Really easy. Anybody can do it.
You cannot cut a tumor off or shrink a tumor or poison a tumor and expect to stay well and stay healthy, because you're not addressing the real problem, you're only addressing the symptom.
If you took your car to a mechanic and there was a flashing check engine light on your car and the mechanic says, yeah, I can fix that, and takes the fuse out, okay, and says, okay, now your problem solved. Or I've got a knocking in my engine. Okay, well, here, turn up the radio. Do you hear it now? Well, I can kind of still hear it here. Put some earmuffs on. Yeah, no, now I don't hear it. Okay, perfect. You haven't done anything to the engine.
I would fire the mechanic.
Exactly, and that's the question that when you ask a person, the logical answer is, yeah, I'd fire the mechanic. So then why aren't they firing the doctors? Because that's exactly what the doctors are doing.
Don't smash your body's check engine light. The tumor is a symptom. Unfortunately, most modern oncologists don't look for the cause of the cancer. We're only treating symptoms. Now, one treatment protocol that focuses heavily on the diet is the Gerson therapy, oftentimes called the Gerson diet. We had the privilege of traveling to Mexico to the Gerson Clinic of Northern Baja, and we interviewed Dr. Patrick Vickers. Now, Dr. Max Gerson was called the greatest genius in medical history by Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer. And the Gerson therapy relies heavily on the production of energy at the cellular level. Let's have a listen to Dr. Patrick Vickers explain how juicing, which is a staple of the Gerson treatment, fires up the immune system and produces cellular energy.
When you eat raw fruit, raw vegetables, you're drinking raw juices. Do you know if you tested those juices with litmus paper before they went into your body, they test acidic? They test acidic with litmus paper, but when you drink it, that gets broken down into an alkaline ash called potassium hydroxide. The hydroxyl molecule literally goes into your body. Now, chemically written, a hydroxyl molecule is OH negative. Oxygen, hydrogen, negative charge. What's hydrogen? The acidic nature of hydrogen is a positively charged hydrogen ion, H positive. Imagine what happens when that juice gets broken down into hydroxyl ions, OH negative, and reacts with the positively charged hydrogen ion. What reaction do you think takes place? You have an OH negative and an H positive, two H's and an O. That reaction forms water. Water is neutral. You neutralize that acidity. You've now changed the charge at the level of the cell membrane, and you've now just allowed your body to properly oxygenate tissues, making the sugars in these fruits and vegetable juices and the natural fruits and vegetables they get at our clinic, they can now be easily converted to massive amounts of energy. And that is what ultimately fires up the immune system, and that's why we have the storied history of reversing these advanced diseases. One of the biggest portions of the therapy is the detoxification procedures of the Gerson therapy. And the Gerson therapy has made these famous, and that's the coffee enema. Your liver produces an enzyme. It's called glutathione transferase. Glutathione transferase, it's the most potent detoxifying enzyme in the human body. The liver produces it. What the liver uses is palmitic acid as the chemical base to produce glutathione transferase. Properly roasted, organic coffee. It's lightly roasted. It's not a drinking coffee. It's a particular bean that's not a drinking bean, and it's also roasted so lightly that you don't denaturize it like you would a drinking coffee. But properly roasted coffee is loaded with palmitic acid. And studies on coffee enemas have proven that when you do one coffee enema, the production of glutathione transferase by the body goes up 600 to 700% greater than normal. And our patients, they're getting 5 a day. Laetrile, that's one of the darling therapies that people come to Mexico for, and they've been coming for years. Laetrile is vitamin B17. It comes from apricot kernel, right? Apricot kernel pits. And its active agent is cyanide, ultimately. And it causes immediate cell death of cancer cells. But it really has to be done in conjunction with hyperthermia.
The only permanent cure to cancer is your immune system. And nutrition gives your immune system the firepower it needs to keep you well. So without nutrition, you're fighting with no weapons. Without your immune system, you're fighting with no army. Everything around you. What about the sunlight? That's medicine. What about the tree leaves? That's medicine. What about the air that you're breathing? Well, you can breathe therapeutically. You can reduce stress. You can change your physiology by breathing in the right manner. So even the sound from the water is medicine.
Isn't it insane that people sometimes have to risk going to jail to treat their cancer the way that they see fit? Now, one substance that people do risk going to jail if they are caught in the possession of this substance is hemp or cannabis, sometimes referred to by the slang term marijuana. It's not commonly known that the hemp plant is not only a medicine, but it's a superfood. Talk real quickly, if you will, about the medicinal effects of the hemp plant or cannabis.
Hemp cannabis is arguably the most useful plant on earth. It lasts longer than cotton or polyester. If you go back and look at your history, it was around 1937 when DuPont got its patent for polyester, and that was the beginning of the witch hunt to get rid of cannabis because it was competition. You look at, you can use it for paper pulp, for clothing. You can eat it. The food, the seeds are high in omega-3 fats, high in protein. The oils from hemp oil is delicious, nutty tasting, and high in omega-3s. And then there's the medicinal parts, the cannabinoids.
We're learning what's known as, what we all have, an endocannabinoid system or endocannabinoid receptors or cannabinoid receptors within the body. There are certain foods that contain these cannabinoids. There are certain abilities to produce some from within as well. But these receptors are present almost everywhere in the body, particularly heavily entrenched in the gastrointestinal system, the liver, the brain, the nervous system, interestingly enough. And what we're finding, the impact of the two key cannabinoids, they're not the only ones, the cannabidiol, which is CBD, the non-psychoactive component it's considered, and the THC, the tetrahydrocannabinol, which you say also well. And those two aspects, which the THC is considered the psychoactive component, it alters the state of the mind, and that's been argued as the dangerous addictive drug, which now doctors like Sanjay Gupta and others say, well, maybe it's not really that addictive at all. In fact, it might have benefit. And we're finding out in relation to certain cancers, not just one or two, but many cancers, a tremendous benefit. Some to stimulate the apoptosis, right, the cellular death. Others to address protection of cells, neurological cells, brain and nervous system cells from cancer. A lot of epithelial integrity relying upon the impact of these cannabinoids. We talk about gastrointestinal recovery, seizure disorders in children and adults. A lot of it is actually sourced right there in that second brain, in the gut. And in these cases, we're seeing the use of CBD, sometimes THC, or both together, are reversing these cancers and reversing even seizure activity, seizure disorders.
So are there studies that have shown that there's effectiveness with the CBD and the THC against cancer?
Oh, an incredible amount. It's almost too much to go through. If we talk about the references that we have here for breast cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, stomach cancer, skin cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, lung cancer, uterine cancer, thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, cervical cancer, mouth cancer, glioma, brain cancer, and biliary tract cancer, biliary. So we've got tremendous amount of scientific research. A 2007 Harvard Medical School study published in Science Daily showed that hemp's THC decreases lung cancer tumors by 50% and significantly reduces the ability of the cancer to metastasize. I mean, this is huge. Again, this is just one of many things. Here it is, cannabinoids. This is directly from a United States patent. This is the shocker. Cannabinoids, including THC and cannabidiol, promote the reemergence of apoptosis so that tumors will stop dividing and die. This is a profound, now, I'm not one that says there's one panacea that does everything for everyone. But if there was a plant, you know, to look at one plant that does so many extraordinary things, this cannabis plant, which is sometimes wrongly referred to as in marijuana as the slang, or hemp as well, in many forms has so much from a nutritional value, but now we learn more and more about its specific value in reversing cancers that are active, much less in their prevention.
So, Boris, talk about the importance of fasting, that fasting might play in overcoming cancer, because it's very popular in the United States, and I know in Russia you mentioned that fasting is done as well.
Yes, it's popular in Russia. It doesn't take much money. Cancer cells, they differ from regular cells, and we can play on those differences. And one of the differences, they don't take as well heat as normal cells, and they cannot survive without food for them, which is usually mostly glucose. So in fasting, they suffer more than normal cells. Even for normal cells, it's even good. They kind of detoxify themselves, so nothing bad happening to them. But cancer cells, they die. So that's the reason why it's good. So it's plus for normal cells, and it's minus for cancer cells.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground in this episode, but we know from experience in our last documentary, the next episode, the final episode, is going to be the most inspiring, and it's going to give you hope. Why? Because the next episode is totally dedicated to sharing cancer conqueror stories, and that's what you're going to get. So thanks for joining us, and I know we're going to see you again tomorrow. Have a great evening. God bless all of you.